Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome back. Super exciting show today. A different kind of show that you might not be accustomed to. We're going to play a series of short throwback decodes from at least 8 years ago, maybe 9 years ago. And most of these decodes, they're short and they are decodes that you have not seen before. Many of you are new to the channel. Some of these decodes only got like 1,500 views, 1,000 views. And I focused on the most profound videos. And when I play these back, just chime in the chat and let me know if you remember these particular videos, and then everyone can see, how long you guys have been coming to the channel. Now, these are not just any short videos. They're impactful. They all got later confirmation of things that actually were going to happen that we didn't know at the time. We weren't trying to predict the future, but it ended up happening that way. So that is exciting. And you got to go back in time and remember during that era, right around the beginning of the Trump presidency, his first presidency in 2016, predictive programming really wasn't mainstream yet. Remember, we were one of the channels at the forefront of showing people how predictive programming works. During that era, it was, like South Park and The Simpsons, it was just barely coming online as people realizing that there was all this crazy predictive programming. So a lot of this stuff was cutting edge. Now, the most profound, I believe, was some of the 9/11 sightings. Now, we're not the only channel that found the 9/11 sightings before the event happened. There are many other channels that have covered a lot of this, but we dug extra deep, didn't we? And we found some things that I couldn't even believe myself looking back through these short videos. There was also a huge focus on Ukraine back then, which was weird. And of course, this all happened before the events that transpired today, yet you are going to see connections to things that are happening right now. The missing children, Holodomor, Memorial, all of that stuff is in some of these old videos way back in 2016 at the infancy of Trump's first term. Now, we're going to start with the most profound example. And this blew me away. I was looking back to these videos. I was like, you have to be kidding me. Now, I'm going to turn the sound off on this just because I'm not sure what. A lot of these older videos had soundtracks that I put on them, and I was using free music, but with the licenses, they come back through after you've used it for a few years. And if you try to play it back, they'll snag it, right? They'll copyright you. So I got the sound turned off. But this, I did a side by side. Remember the side by sides that we did? These were very popular during that era of YouTube. I would take 2 frames and put them side by side and play them out. And you could see the just bizarre connections to each of the scenes. And on the left is a clip from the movie Starship Invasions from 1977. I'm going to start playing this through. Now, it's weird because on the right, we have iPet Goat 2. We have a little girl with like braided or ponytailed hair. Now, of course, this girl is she's got the red gloves, which kind of matches up with the red apple. But here's what happens. She looks over. Let's zoom this up a little bit so you guys can see this. This is crazy. She looks over at some tomatoes, which of course is not an apple, but it's the basic archetype. It falls onto the floor, rolls across the floor, just like an iPet Goat 2, and it lands on a shoe. And look at the look on her face, the same look on the face that Lily has in iPet Goat 2. This was from 1977 to 2012. Now, in this, on the right, it's Obama's shoe. And on the left, I don't know whose shoe it is. And I probably need to decode this film, Starship Invasions from 1977. She looks back at her mother. They're in the grocery store. It looks like I don't know if that's the Kleenex aisle or the cookie aisle. I cannot tell. But we have a match. Now, this goes deeper. Because here we are in hindsight, right? Look at the eyes. The pouting face. That is a match. Now, in hindsight, we can double decode these these kinds of instances where the matrix breaks. This is what I call it. This is called a crack in the matrix. In other words, they've exposed too much information. And now, look at, she smashes the tomato, which opens it, of course. And in this instance, on the right, it opens into a lotus flower. This guy comes out of the butcher in the back. What the heck? Now, again, I will go back and decode that. But upon further examination, I went back to see the stats of this film. Let's take a look. Let's double decode this. Starship Invasions. Now, many of you will remember that iPad Code 2 was made by a company from Canada. So obviously, this Canadian science fiction film, look at this, released in the United States Kingdom as Project Genocide, which is exactly the Holodomor connection to this scene. Remember? Lily on the right is the Holodomor Memorial. Let's show it to you. Holodomor Memorial Girl. With the apples and the roses, just like the scene in iPad Goat 2. So they literally made a film about this. The scene then matches the apple rolling across the floor. It's almost unthinkable, isn't it? It's almost unthinkable. Now, let's keep digging into this because there are more connections. This released on October 14th, 1977, and again in Toronto on November 25th. It was 89 minutes long. And look at the plot. Now, I definitely need to decode this film, right? Definitely. The plot concerns a black-clad legion of the Winged Serpent, a rogue group of human-like telepathic aliens led by Captain Ramsey. So we've got an Egyptian component to this. We've got the feathered serpent. The Legion's home planet Alpha in the Orion constellation is about to be destroyed in the imminent supernova of its star. Ramses is leading a small force of flying saucers to Earth to examine its suitability for their race, performing several alien abductions. They discover they are the descendants of transplanted humans, and the Earth is perfect for them. They cover their tracks using a device that causes the abductees to commit suicide. They plan to use a larger version of the device so that everyone on Earth will kill themselves so the Alphans can take over. So we've got the Ukraine abductions kind of linked into this. Opposing any attempt to interfere with less developed planets is the Intergalactic League of Races, a highly advanced group of bald, big-headed aliens from Zeta Reticuli. The League operates a base on Earth in a pyramid hidden beneath the ocean. Ramses lands at the base pretending to be a friendly researcher, and the League reminds him that under the Galactic Treaty, he is to have no contact with humans. While taking a tour of the base, he is disturbed to see a television broadcast featuring human UFO expert Professor Alan Duncan discussing Ramses' abductions. He laughs it off and indulges in the local entertainment. Then they talk about army bases and all this stuff. Now I'm going to do a full decode on this because absolutely this is something that needs to be decoded. But look at this. Christopher Lee, Dracula himself, plays Captain Ramses. Who's this person? Daniel Pilon. Died in 2018. Let's see what else we got here. Helen Shaver. We're just going to look through some of these real quick. She's still alive. Born February 24th. I always like to check these birthdays. And then we'll get into the next one. This guy died. All right. So that will be on deck. Get that decoded. Now, tomorrow we're going to do headlines, get caught up on headlines. And I may screen this movie today. I'll try. And Kind of looks like Starship Troopers, doesn't it? But it's Starship Invasions. Why have they come? So creepy. So I'll try to get a copy of this and screen it, and maybe I'll include it in tomorrow. Now, let's check in with you guys, and we'll move on to the next one. In previous shows, I told you about Trump and Hillary being coughing cousins. Yes, they shared a cousin who had a fictitious cough. Now, this was during their original face-off in the first election, long before COVID happened. Yet, what you're going to see next is shocking. Let's take a look, you guys.
Enter the stars, and I've got some questions. Why are the two presidential candidates of the United States related to a man named John of Gaunt, 19th cousins? And why is this man, this John of Gaunt, why was he born on March 6th, the 66th day of the year with 299 left? And why is Hillary Clinton, who is also related to John Gaunt and Trump, why was she born on the 299th day of the year with 66 remaining? And lastly, why is Donald Trump born on the 166th day of the year with 199 remaining, the same Donald Trump that's related to Hillary and John Gaunt? And last but not least, why is John Gaunt's name and a peculiar fictitious cough mentioned in this book, The Adventures of John Gaunt, Duke of Lancaster, the same John Gaunt that is related to the Hillary Clinton with some kind of fictitious cough, who was born on these 6699 synchronistic dates that are shared with Trump and John Gaunt. A book that was written in 1700s, right around the time that John Gaunt lived. A fictitious cough, when seasonably introduced, contributes to render one both interesting and venerable, and is, as it were, an indication of steady thoughts. And last but not least, why is John Gaunt's name mentioned in this study about tuberculosis? The UK government has begun to respond to the renewed threat of tuberculosis. The report I'm waiting for is its contribution to the study of tuberculosis internationally. Just as no man is an island sufficient of himself, so no island is an island in infectious terms. The protective moat we are ringed with against infection in the land and the hand of war, so eloquently described by John of Gaunt and Richard II, offers no defense against tuberculosis. Take care and be safe, you guys.
What the heck is going on, right? This video uploaded 8 years ago, 4 years before the COVID pandemic. And remember, Hillary was coughing, and then they share this fictitious cough. Let's play some more of this. There's more. It says, enter John of Gaunt with the Duke of New York. This is the actual play that was written. Hillary breathes her last breath after the Duke of York. Trump comes. Will the king come? Oh, yeah, let's back that up. Will the king come that I may breathe my last in wholesome counsel to his unstead youth? John of Gaunt says eloquently. Okay, let's keep looking here. There's more to this. Wow. And vex not yourself, not strive, not with your breath, for in vain counsel comes to his ear. They breathe truth that breathe their words in pain. He that no more must say is listened more. So they're talking about people that can't breathe. Venom, lascivious meters to those whose Venom sound. And I'll put a link to that. I think that was about all we found in that one. Now, remember, during this era of decodes, we were finding 9/11 everywhere. Remember? Well, here's one particular decode. We're going to play a few of these that most of you did not see. We found 9/11 on the wall in the movie Labyrinth. Let's play it, you guys. I'm going to speed this up a little bit. Okay, it's already sped up here. Let's go. Guys, enter the stars. And on June 27th, 1986, a film was released on the 178th day of the year, with 187 left remaining in the end of the year. And the obvious mirror here is 87. That film was Labyrinth, and it released in 1986. The very next year would be the halfway point to 9/11. 1987, the 14th year after 1973, and in another 14 years. In 2001, the World Trade Center would fall. Now, this is the cover movie poster for Labyrinth. We're going to be taking a look at this film. What we obviously see here is the pyramid and the all-seeing eye. Atop this, clear Illuminati symbolism. But what's interesting about this film is it is 101 minutes long. Check out Nicholson 1968. He talks a lot about the number 101. We had 102 minutes of terror on 9/11, and it occurred in 2001. November 28th is an interesting date as well. It is the 333rd day of the year with 33 left in leap years. Let's take a look at this film starring David Bowie and Jennifer Connelly. So right off the bat, we get the lens Earth, the inner eye. We get three owls coming. Apologies for the echo in the mic. That was just trouble we were having at that time with sound. Out of the lens eye, which is the night sky. All of this in the introduction. Here's the inner eye model here. So you can see a rotating spherical globe that is reflective. Now watch these owls come out. And there you go. There's your owls, you guys. Unbelievable. Here's a good shot of the owls. Remember, these are the owl eyes in the night sky at the equator. Now, what you're looking at on your screen is a real image of the night sky. Through the middle is the horizon, but this is time-lapse photography. So if you were able to see all time all at once, this is what it would look like, because stars they move across the sky at night, right? So this is a time-lapse image. And if you were standing right here in the middle and looked up, you would only see half of the owl eyes. But if you could see below the surface of the earth, you would see the other part of the owl eyes. These are the eyes of Molech. This is where we're stuck. We're stuck in the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. We did lots and lots of videos during this era of the channel, kind of doubling down on this whole concept. We saw it repeated and confirmed over and over again. This is why they worship the owl. Why? Because it's time, being stuck in time. Now, obviously, God created the stars. They're not bad, but this is what they have chosen. The enemy has chosen as their worship. It's a tree. This is why they worship the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And they worship the owl that's in the tree. They worship the nested reality, right? This is why we find all this stuff. Let's keep watching here. And just before the word labyrinth forms in the screen, you get the reflection of the water. This is the inner eye reflection, as you see here. Here's a good shot of it. So all right here in your face, you guys. You can't make this up. Then they show the firmament go right back into the eye of the owl. Unbelievable. Watch. There's the firmament in the eye of the owl. Unbelievable. Opening sequence, the owl lands on a Masonic pillar. We see the owl eye bridge in the background. Now let me pause again and back up, because the significance of this film releasing in 1986 was approximately the halfway point before the towers would fall. It was the 14th year, and then in another 14 years, the towers would fall in Lower Manhattan, the Twin Towers. Now, what is the significance of that? Well, we're going to see the number 9/11 appear. So literally, they were bragging about it about halfway through what they were going to do 14 years after this film came out. And again, that concept of a halfway point was confirmed over and over again. Let's keep watching. As Jennifer Connelly enters the scene, more Masonic pillars. And here's Jennifer Connelly wearing... So there were twin Masonic pillars that you just saw. Those were the Twin Towers. Let's keep watching. The fleur-de-lis in a crown. We talked about how that looks exactly like the pattern of stars at the night sky, with the stars in the east going straight up and down, and the stars in the southern hemisphere going clockwise, and the stars in the northern hemisphere going counterclockwise, just like in the fleur-de-lis. This is their secret. This is why this is their royal symbol, because they know the secret. They didn't create the stars, but yet the stars match the pattern of the fleur-de-lis. Star pattern. Oh, fleur-de-lis. Star pattern. Star pattern again on her vest. Now, the fact that she's talking about this in the mirror shows the star pattern is a reflection, because that is what's on her vest right now. She's looking in this mirror. We've seen this mirror pattern before, where they show the actor talking into a mirror, and then it gives us a clue, like in the Truman Show, the beginning of that as well. And they show the beehive in the Truman Show, and we know that the back of the eye is lined with a beehive-like structure called the rods and the cones. Now, she says some kind of a riddle, and her brother gets taken away into this realm. This is like pure evil right here. Look at David Bowie. I mean, this guy is about as evil as it gets. He offers her this crystal ball, which of course is a reflective firmament inside the eye. But again, Satan wants to be like the Most High. So he counterfeits truth, and he turns it into his own truth. And then what happens is we are deceived at that point. This thing turns into a snake, and he throws it at her, and then turns into a goblin. And he does this magic trick with the crystal, which... look at this. He's moving this thing on his hand. Unbelievable. So she has to enter the labyrinth to get her brother back. And there's plenty of eyeball imagery within the labyrinth. And we have David Bowie in leggings, a blouse, high heels, and long hair and makeup. Now this one you got to hear with your own ears. Unbelievable. Listen.
In 9 hours and 23 minutes. In 9 hours and 23 minutes.
In 9 hours and 23 minutes.
You'll be mine.
Now this little boy is... Oh, he said 9 hours and 23 minutes. You'll be mine. Now we did this decode 9 years ago, you guys. Let's keep watching. Played by the actor named Toby Froud. This is Toby, and he was born in 1984. Remember, there's 84 days between July 1st and September 23rd. Here she gets stuck in a dead end, and she comes across these two, and she has to ask them which way to go, but they tell her, hey, one of us is going to tell the truth and one of us is going to lie. So these are the two pillars of good and evil, the two eyes that deceive. Actually, neither of them tell the truth. It's just like the eyes in our skull, in our head. These are the two trees of knowledge of good and evil. That's why Jesus tells us, if one eye causes you to sin, gouge it out. He's talking about the evil eye, and only choose good, the single eye. And here you see there's like an as above, so below component. There's part of this thing in the top, part in the bottom, the red and blue pill. Choose neither. And here they've got them. There's a two balls up here shining down. So that's illumination, right? But it's all wrong and it's all backwards. This reality is built on sinking sand. So even when you think you're choosing the right pill, it's the wrong pill, right? We have to go with Christ's plan and the true good eye. And there's only one way through the Father, and that's through Jesus. And maybe that's the pineal gland, the position that Christ was in between the two thieves, your two eyes, at Golgotha, which means skull, when he was crucified. And that is the true single eye. He says the eye is the lamp of the body. And if your eye be single, your whole body will be full of light. Now your pineal is simply an antenna. You have to have Christ. You have to have Christ in order to make it to the Father. Here we got more eye symbolism. Remember, the eyes of good and evil. We saw the red and blue doors. We saw the pairing. There was also another scene where there was two door knockers. And again, those door knockers had the door knocker passing through, one through his mouth and one through his ears. That's say no evil, hear no evil. What's missing? See no evil is missing. You see? This is what they do. Here are the door knockers here. One was in his mouth, say no evil, and one was in his ears, hear no evil. Here's the bombshell. 9/11.
Whoa.
On the wall just before they go into the stink bog. There's your 9.
Let's zoom this up. Holy smokes. You can almost see it here too. It's almost like more like the 9 is here, but the thing was like blocking a little bit. There's the 9, and then here you see the 11 over there. Holy smokes. Let's try to play this through, see if we could.
And there is 11. Now, you guys have heard me mention on this channel many times that Jesus was conceived in the Hebrew year 3755. And then in 3756, he was born on 9/11. Well, they show us the 9/11 at 55 minutes into the film. So, as we stated, the film is 101 minutes long. So I thought I'd figure out what the 101st day of the year was. And that is 4/11, which is 44. Here we get a very inappropriate eyes wide shut moment where they're all dressed in the eyes wide shut masks and costumes as a love song plays, and the 16-year-old Jennifer Connelly dances with David Bowie. Now here's the interesting thing about Jennifer Connelly. She was a child model and actress, and like I said, at the time she was 16 years old. She is now 44 years old. We just looked at the date of April 11th being 44. And now you know what all this means. And then we get another lens-shaped Earth moment where she's standing in this mirror, and we get the curvature of the stars again. As they mock God because they know the secrets and we don't, and they put it in their movies to brag about it, and 99% of people do not understand what they're looking at. As Lucifer tries to elevate himself above the Most High, and his.
So I'll put a link to that decode. Gosh, I guess I talked faster back then. Anyway, hey, that's what age does to you, right? But anyway, long story short, I will put a link to that decode. You guys saw clearly the 9/11. Now, of course, you can go back to the movie and to that part if you want and zoom in on it, and you will see the 9 and the 11 clearly on the wall. Now, let me check with you guys, and then we're going to get into some more 9/11 stuff. Did you know that the very last episode of Wonder Woman aired on 9/11? Here it is right here. This is the very last episode. 1979. This was 22 years before the event actually happened. Yet, what you're going to hear next is the literal technology that they used to bring down the towers. Listen.
Enter the stars. We'll be going live in a few hours of Wonder Woman. This episode, the last episode of Wonder Woman TV show, aired on 9/11. I told you that sound brought down the Twin Towers.
This is made of the same alloy as the Superloop at Fun Universe. It's solid steel, Mr. I feel it. Indeed it is. Now, watch.
Listen.
This device, when activated, sets up a specific pattern of ultrasonic vibrations. Observe.
Listen.
Even as we talk, the molecular structure of this solid piece of steel is being rearranged, creating what is known as metal fatigue.
Are you starting to hear the truth? This episode is packed with Pizzagate, 9/11 references, airing on 9/11, 22 years before the event, in 1979. 79 is the 22nd prime number.
Whoa.
Nothing appears to be happening. Oh, that's the beauty of it. I like it. I like it.
Did you hear what he said? Let's back that up. Holy smokes, you guys. Sometimes I'm blown away.
Nothing appears to be happening. Oh, that's the beauty of it.
Nothing appears to be happening. Oh, that's the beauty of it. See, it was in plain sight and nobody knew. He goes, that's the beauty of it.
I like it.
It just weakens the steel, causing it to disintegrate into dust, and you can't see anything happening.
Like it, Mr. P. You like this part even better, Mr. F.
Join the show.
I think we did a full show on that, but I think I had to take it down for copyright or something. I can't remember. Let me check in with you guys now. Did some of you remember some of these early shows from the channel? It wasn't really early shows because we started the channel 2012. These were like 2016, 2017, 2018. But what a trip. Next, I'm going to show you Superman. He and Lois jump off of a building. Then they fly into the Twin Towers. Let's take a look, you guys.
I mean, who would ever thought that two planes would fly into buildings and then that the fires would be burning so hot that people would jump off of buildings? I mean, who would have ever even thought that up? Well, what you're looking at is from 1987, the film Superman 4. 1987 marked the halfway point from the opening of the Slim Towers to the time that it fell. That was 28 total years. And exactly halfway, 1987, the 14th year, Building 7 opened. You can see that on the right-hand side. It almost finished completion while this was filming in 86.
This is giving me chills, you guys. So this video links to that Labyrinth video. Remember, Labyrinth was the halfway point as well. There's Building 7. Holy smokes. Let's keep watching here.
Film released in 87. And there you see their flight path that representing the two planes was the reverse flight path of the plane that hit World Slim Towers 2. You can see the engine parts that were allegedly found. There you see the water tower.
Oh, crazy, you guys. They almost flew in the same flight path. What the heck? What does this say? Golly. This is insane, you guys.
As well, featured in the scene.
All right, so pretty crazy. I think this is the last one I have for you. This was 2 years before the pandemic, and I decoded The Strain about vampires and pandemics. And instead of blood clotting and heart attacks and strokes, this one was about blood thinners coming from Asia across the jet stream to America, the same path that COVID took. Let's take a look.
Guys Into the Stars, and in season 3, episode 4.
Slow down, brother. Hold on. The heck? Oh, I was screening these earlier, so I had them in fast speed. Sorry.
Of The Strain. We see in this scene that they basically devise a plan to create rat poison to poison the Strigoi. He explains here the rat poison is a blood thinner. Now, when you see a scene like this, it just seems random, but listen. Now, this was blocked worldwide immediately upon upload, so...
Now, the reason why you didn't see a clip there is because the copyright police came out and I had to remove those in order to keep this video up. Sorry about that. This video, this decode was from 7 years ago. Let's keep watching.
I'm not going to be able to play in these clips. But what he says here is this rat poison is essentially a powerful blood thinner. Then he says these creatures are blood processing machines, and they should be highly susceptible to systemic damage. She then asks him, do you think this will work? And he says it works on cats, dogs, and even us if the dosage is right. So it's a delivery mechanism. The tanker becomes a delivery mechanism, just like the balloons were a delivery mechanism. And I'm going to link this all back into the NASA balloons. How does this have anything to do with the NASA balloons, Casey? Because rat poison is coumarin. It is the name after which Coumadin, the blood thinner, is named. In low doses, it helps people to thin their blood when they have heart problems. It occurs naturally in plants, including in the cherry blossom tree. And in fact, Germany has outlawed coumarin, which is normally added to tobacco to give it flavor. And Germany has taken that out. They have much lower cancer rates for lung cancer. And one of these people called out the tobacco industry in America, Jeffrey Wigand. He's charging a form of rat poison was in the tobacco. He held it from a chemist's point of view. Coumarin is an immediate precursor to rodenticide, which is true. Coumadin, which we just told you, rodenticide being rat poison. He stated that coumarin itself is dangerous, pointing out the FDA had banned its addition to human food in 1954, so it was banned in human food, but not in cigarettes. He repeatedly classified coumarin as a lung-specific carcinogen. In Germany, coumarin is banned as an additive in tobacco. Do you think that's why they might have lower lung cancer rates, even though more people smoke in Germany?
Twice as many people smoke in Germany than the U.S., with a third of the lung cancer rates. Keep listening.
Than in the United States. So it was found that coumarin actually caused tumors in the lungs of rats. Yes, tumors in mites, lung tumors. This is in your tobacco smoke here in the United States. It has not been outlawed yet. So why are we talking about coumarin, Casey? Because the cherry blossom tree was the name of the balloons that the Japanese launched into the United States using the jet stream. Operation Cherry Blossoms at Night. Remember, cherry blossoms contain coumarin. It says right here. It is the very last line in the cherry blossom Wikipedia page. The leaves contain coumarin, which is toxic in large doses. This is rat poison. And this is why the Japanese named Operation Cherry Blossoms at Night after the poison that they would spread to the United States. Unfortunately, the poisonous balloons never reached the United States because we dropped the bomb first. But that was their plan, was to spread bubonic plague, cholera, and smallpox. We also had confirmed reports of some of the balloons that were dropped that actually had bombs on them that killed people.
So here's what we showed 2 years before the pandemic. Remember the John Hopkins death map with all the red balloons on it? Well, something in my spirit knew that something was coming. I didn't exactly say, but this is pretty accurate because this is where the pandemic started in Seattle and it went across the United States. Keep watching.
And though no plague balloons made it to the States, Here are all the confirmed sightings of the balloons that did make it to the west coast and central part of the United States that were bombs that actually exploded, in which people died. Their plan was to prepare a long-distance attack on the United States, cherry blossoms at night, and it was finalized in March. They loaded plague-infected fleas. They wanted to fly them across the Pacific Ocean, launch them out of submarines in San Diego. The plan was to release biological weapons against America. They considered releasing 200 pounds of plague-carrying fleas at the Battle of Bataan, about 150 million insects, in 10 separate attacks. And in early July 1944, during the Battle of Saipan, when the war was turning against Japan, plague-infested fleas were again intended to be used against American combatants. However, the Japanese submarine carrying the fleas was sunk by American submarine swordfish. Then in 44, they did succeed in launching 9,300 incendiary and anti-personnel bombs. We just showed you the map on that. Carried by balloons, which were designed to rise 30,000 feet, swept eastward by the jet stream to the continental United States. 6 people were killed in Oregon, and the nuclear reactor cooling pump was blown up at the Manhattan Project's product facility at the Hanford site. We heard that come up. This is real. So now we have a direct connection to the balloons dropping plague to the Strain TV series, giving us a clue as to what they plan to do. And after further examination of the episode, God help the United States. Here at the Cherry Blossoms, this is real. As he puts the rat, remember that's rat poison, into the snake cage with the cobra, and in the background you see the cherry blossoms. Now there's no need for fear. We already have salvation through the Most High in Yeshua. Again, we can't play any of this for you because it was blocked worldwide, but he says 2,000 of our brothers in Philadelphia were killed. Philadelphia is home to 2,000 flowering Japanese cherry trees, half of which were a gift from the Japanese government in 1926. Now, in order to understand the importance of the cherry blossom tree and why the Japanese would name this operation after it, we have to look at the history of the cherry blossom tree. Now, this is pretty fascinating because this tree is actually indicative of Japan. In fact, the people have a practice where they have tea underneath the blooming, flowering cherry tree. They had lunch and drank sake under these cherry trees. Every year, the Japanese Meteorological Agency and the public track the Sakura Zensen, which is the cherry blossom front. It is like a war front. Move northward up the archipelago. As the weather starts to warm, they can see these blossoms starting to bloom from south to north. They would hold flowering parties, and they actually constructed the school year around the blooming of these trees. This is a big deal for the people in Japan. The cherry blossoms symbolized clouds due to their nature of blooming. There's all this starting to make sense. The jet stream, clouds. It was an enduring metaphor for the ephemeral nature of life, an aspect of Japanese cultural tradition that is often associated with Buddhist influence. During World War II, the cherry blossom was used to motivate the Japanese people to stoke nationalism, militarism. Even prior to the war, they were used in propaganda to inspire Japanese spirit. They even compared the dead soldiers to cherry blossoms. This was all about the kamikaze. This is how they got them inspired to fight. They would even paint them on the side of their planes before going on suicide missions. It symbolized the intensity and ephemerality of life. Sacrifice of youth. That's what the cherry petals falling to the ground represented. And the government even encouraged people to believe that the souls of the downed warriors were reincarnated in the blossoms.
Okay, so I will put a link to all of the videos that we covered today. Now, tomorrow, we're going to be getting caught up on some headlines. As we go back in here, you guys are like blown away. Do you guys want to, do any of you remember those videos from that era? I'm just curious. We'll hang out in the chat for a little bit before we pop off of here. Good morning, everybody. Who started the biolabs in Ukraine? That was Obama. Yes. And they are still in denial about those labs. They're still saying that they were simply for defensive posture to prepare for biological attack. That's what their cover story is. Yeah, it's beyond my comprehension too, Cheryl. It's pretty crazy. It's almost like we knew the pandemic was coming. That's the Holy Spirit. You could hear it in my voice how troubled I was trying to warn people. So we got some veterans in here from that era who remember. Thanks, you guys. You guys make this channel too. I mean, you guys were the OG, stuck it out back when my decodes weren't even as good, and through all the sound quality issues, I think we've zeroed in quite a bit since those days. We've gotten more accurate. And so thanks. You guys are the bedrock of this channel. So thank you. Yes, they're both guilty. They're all guilty. They're all working together secretly. That's the big secret. Nobody can believe it, but it's true. It's absolutely true. Yeah, established presence said I could feel it building at the time. Remember, we were covering the flu outbreaks. We're like, you guys, something's coming. The Australian flu outbreak, it was insane. Yeah, that was back when Michael Morales was still with us. All on the same team. Yep. All right, you guys, I'm going to pop off here. Thanks for showing up. I'll see you guys tomorrow with Between the Headlines. Much love, everybody.